think of that headline, $8 million in Corvettes goes into a hole, nobody's injured. That is PR, kind of public relations gold. I give everybody credit that made it work so well for the museum, because attendance skyrocketed after this happened.
Hey guys, I'm Josh Brown.
And I'm Jordan Stevens.
And you're watching the Cars and Health Bars podcast. Let's get right into the episode. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Cars and Health Bars. On today's episode, we are joined with Ryan Eichler from National Corvette Museum. How are you doing tonight, Ryan?
Josh, I'm doing fantastic. Good to be on. Talk a little bit about Corvettes here.
Absolutely. This is kind of, I wouldn't say that we have very many dream guests, but it was always on our to-do list, like I guess our bucket list, to get somebody from the Corvette Museum, because we brand our show to other creators and potential guests as based out of Vet City. That is like our tagline. So it's you all are the reason we are Vet City.
Love hearing that, and obviously love the support of the museum. Certainly, important in the city of Bowling Green. We have 115,000 square feet of just, everything Corvette.
Absolutely. But before we get into like the meat and potatoes of the Corvette Museum, let's talk a little bit about Ryan first. What you do, your role in the National Corvette Museum. Let the viewers know a little bit more about you.
Sure, yeah. So I oversee all marketing communications for the museum. So that's everything from our social channels. I encourage, if anybody isn't following, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn as well, YouTube, TikTok, of course, all the channels. And then also oversee our website, as well as all public relations for the museum, and then advertising. So if you're traveling around and you see billboards, those are all passing through me. I want to make sure I am just sometimes the figurehead. I have a team of 5 behind me that really cover everything in the museum. If you're a guest at the museum and you see any of the branding or signage, our team is coming up with that, working with our collections team to kind of land on campaign and exhibition names. So it's a really fun job that allows me to really touch every element of the museum. And I think it's surprising for a lot of people. We have 18 different lines of business at the museum. So everything from, of course, touring the museum and seeing our incredible collection. That's really one of the most exciting things. But then, of course, that includes our online store, as well as retail store in the museum, the Corvette store, the Stingray Grill, our on-property restaurant. We have over 45,000 members in the museum. So there's a whole membership component and then a donor component. All the way down to group tours, a significant education piece. Really our mission is to really kind of celebrate and educate on Corvette. So as part of that, we make sure that we make it very accessible to kids, to families. We saw over 5,000 students come through the museum last year on school tours and groups. So again, it's a very encompassing job, but it's a ton of fun and allows me to really, be involved in all elements of the museum.
I remember as a kid, I got to tour the museum in elementary school and then in high school automotive too. So I was one of them kids.
Now, were you inspired? Did that help inspire you?
I was. I'm a mechanic, and I also worked at a tuning shop, and we did only Corvette pretty much. So
sweet.
It definitely touched me.
Yeah, so that's a fun program. We even have a fun to field trip program where we actually have people who make donations to the museum, and then we pay for students at schools that don't have the financial resources to come and see us. So I love hearing that story, Jordan. That education piece. When you go in the museum, we have the McMichael Family Education Center, which is really dedicated to kids, and it's really fun because it breaks my heart as one of the museum leaders. When you go through the museum, the cars in our collection, the Corvettes in our collection, they're true museum pieces. So, it's a don't touch, we keep everything distance from our guests. But when you get into the education center, We have all these tactile things that kids can feel, the leather Alcantara, what the brake pedal feels like. They can design their own Corvette, and then we project those in the kind of the back of the room so you can see it on a big screen.
That is too cool, man.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun, and to see the smiles. And again, everybody loves looking at an incredible 1963 split window Corvette, right? But for a 6-year-old, you want to get in that car. And again, that's, we don't encourage that, of course, and we want to make sure that we kind of really keep our collection pristine. But you get into that McMichael Family Education Center, and you can just see the kids light up even more. So
that's a beautiful thing, because the kids, the little kids that are in elementary school and like even middle school, like that's going to be our next generation of car enthusiasts. And what a great outlet in town and place for them to be able to travel to. I mean, it blows my mind whenever I hear people, that come in for LS Fest that are so far away, and like, man, you don't know how lucky you have it to have a racetrack nearby, a drag strip nearby, a Corvette museum nearby. Like we really have, they talk about Detroit and how crucial it is to motorsports, but like I feel like people sleeping on Bowling Green, because we really have it right here.
This is Gearhead City, and absolutely Vet City. I completely agree. And I think a lot of people, so many people, the Corvette is so recognizable and so many people love it, but when you travel the country, I feel like you see a Corvette and it kind of stops you in your tracks, because it's just a sea of, bean-shaped SUVs everywhere. But when you're in Bowling Green, it's a little different, right? There's Corvettes everywhere of every generation. It really, the car spotting in Bowling Green is amazing. 100%. And then, every once in a while you catch the experimental cars that are, they're running out at the assembly plant as well. I think a lot of folks have seen the ZR1Xs that were driving around in the snow, right? So just makes it so cool. With
us being kind of like, I guess you consider us a news outlet of sorts. Like me and Jordan, we both work in Bowling Green, and I remember I texted Jordan beforehand. I'm like, oh my God, I just seen a ZR1X. I'm like, I cannot believe I just seen one in person. And like, we were seeing C8s before they were in production, like just higher ups at the Vet Museum and Vet Plant, like getting that exclusivity. And like, I feel exclusive because I get to see it on the street well before anybody else does.
It's a lot of fun. I lived in Detroit for almost 2 years, and the neatest thing there was you'd be driving down the street and there'd be these camouflage cars, and you could kind of tell what it was. Yeah. But I'll still take seeing Corvettes on every street corner over a camouflage development view all day long. So it is really cool.
Yeah, I'm waiting to spot a Grand Sport out driving around now.
Yeah.
With the announcement this past weekend, let's keep our eyes peeled. So I have no new news or information on that. But, the National Corvette Museum, they kick off the Corvette season for us is the Michelin National Corvette Museum Bash, which is coming up at the end of April. And we always do have a great selection of Corvettes there that GM brings by and, puts new colors and things like that. So we've been kind of knocking on the door saying, are we going to see a Grand Sport? We don't know yet, but would love to have it there and kind of give it the hat tip here in Vet City.
I was wondering how closely you all worked with GM, because I know that I seen one of the influencers in our space, Cletus McFarland. He picked up his C8 from the Corvette Museum, so I didn't know if that was something exclusive to content creators or if that's an option for brand new Corvette owners, is that they can do museum pickup.
Yeah, well, so. We'll come back to Cletus in 1 second, but okay. We do have the R8C museum delivery program, so that's the option that if you're buying a new Corvette, you check that box and it's $1,495 and you take delivery in the museum. And that is a program that we're incredibly proud of. We celebrated our 20,000th delivery last year, and they've been delivering Corvettes. Yeah, they've been delivering Corvettes ever since 1995 for the 96 model year, which was really, the end of the fourth generation there. And I think that year they delivered about 180 cars, and we average about 2,000 to 3,000 every year. So about 5%, anywhere from 5 to 10% of new Corvettes are being delivered in the museum. Now, then so we come back to Cletus, because when you talk about the super high performance models, Z06, ZR1, we just delivered our first ZR1X. That's a lot higher percentage. And in fact, the last generation ZR1, 40% of those customers took delivery through the museum. So,
wow.
An incredible way to also kind of have, the history of Corvette unfolding in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to Cletus, we're fortunate. We had Cletus McFarland take delivery. I want to say it was on a Monday, and then the following day, Joseph Newgarden, who is a multiple Indianapolis 500 winner, took delivery that day as well. So
wow.
It's just it's an amazing way to experience the delivery process. And of course, your dealer is going to, of course, absolutely roll out the red carpet. But, for us, it's so fun because you're taking delivery in the center of the museum. We have cameras, so we got to have a live stream. If you go to CorvetteMuseum.org, on the bottom, you can see that live stream. So, you can invite all your friends and your family into that delivery process, and then the VIP tour of the museum. And if we're fortunate enough to have the plant tours available, we also, give those customers a plant tour as well. And then right now, we're also starting to roll out the build your own engine program. So
I was going to ask about that.
Okay. Yeah, that's an additional option. And you get to go and spend, it's about 8 hours in the Performance Build Center at the assembly plant, actually assembling your Z06 or ZR1 engine that we'll put in the car. I mean, how awesome, right? So that program just got rolling a couple months ago, and we, I think, are on our 4th or 5th, because that process is being managed by the museum as well.
Wow.
Gotcha.
You guys kind of have your hands in a lot of what goes on at GM. Kind of seems like more than I would expect, for sure.
Yeah, it's an amazing relationship, and I mean, we certainly it's thanks to GM, thanks to Chevrolet, thanks to the Corvette brand that the museum can even be here, because their name is on the building. But for us, when you think of Corvette's constantly looking forward, and I think looking for how they can, grow their fan base and have the car appeal to, I'd say, new and younger audiences. So for us, it's a lot of fun because we can chase those audiences as well. So my team, we're really focused on, growing our social channels, delivering really kind of great content to bring in younger audiences. But then we know that we have people that have been around the museum. The museum opened in 30 years ago. So the museum opened in 1994. And so we have people that have been coming to the museum since 94. Some customers, they've had 8 or 9 museum deliveries. So that's kind of like your Corvette core. So I get to work with both. I mean, it's like the ultimate focus group because we're reaching so many different audiences. And I think GM and Corvette see that because, again, we're not only a conduit for their existing customers, but how you can reach new potential customers when you start dialing back and talking about that history. What makes a Corvette a Corvette? It's over 70 years of innovation and performance.
I think the coolest piece of history with the museum to me is the whole Sinkhole fiasco.
We're going to get to that. I've got a whole section for that. I've got lots of I want to know what other than the sinkhole, if that's but what surprises people most whenever they visit the National Corvette Museum?
Yeah, I would say it's just the variety of the collection, and the cars and the Corvettes that we have on display. Because I think when you come in, you're going to expect to see some first generation Corvettes and learn about that early history. But right now we have an area that is a replica Chevrolet dealership, and that has 3 third generation Corvettes, 74, a 76, a 77. Which, at that point, I mean, that was some of the highest years for Corvette production. So I'd never want to say that a Corvette is unloved, but there are some years that are not as popular as others. But you have people that love those years. And again, we have every single generation on display in the museum. So I would say, it's that variety. And then just the way that we really are trying to present the stories. The Sky Dome, we'll talk more about the Sinkhole, but that space has been completely renovated. We now have a 9-foot tall video wall that, plays, it's 360, wraps around the room. The exhibition in there right now is Corvette and Pop Culture. And it is amazing because you can stand there, you can look at a Corvette, one of the Transformers Corvettes, and then we have a clip of the movie playing behind. And, for people that had been in the museum before, again, it told a great story, but it wasn't as dynamic. And what we found even in that space is the dwell time went from about a minute to 2 minutes up to 20 minutes now. So before you kind of walk in, you do a lap, you see the sinkhole, and you go out. But now there's a 12-minute video that's playing on just Corvette and Pop Culture and amazing Corvettes and all these great movies and music videos and everything. So It's that variety of Corvettes, and then just the way that we're telling the story that we get the most positive feedback from.
Absolutely. In your opinion, what is one of the coolest cars you currently have in the museum?
Oh, it's such a tough question, right?
What's your favorite kid?
That is a little bit of what it goes. For me, I love the fourth generation Corvettes. That's really
wow. That's
when
so
I was
surprising.
when I was growing up, that's the poster that I had on the wall. I still have the press kit from a media event that I went to in 1985. It had little samples of the leather and everything. So I'm a fourth generation Corvette guy. So right now there is a new exhibition that we just opened a few weeks ago. It's called Driven to Preserve, and it really tells the story of the efforts that we put into preserving our collection, and not only the cars but the artifacts. We have 50,000 Corvette artifacts, but there is a 1989 ZR1 that's on display in that is called the Snake Skinner. So basically it's a lightweight ZR1 because they were trying to figure out how are we going to go and hit hard against the Viper. So thus the name, the Snake
wow.
Skinner. It's got side pipes on it, just like those first generation, Vipers had. So just in a really, really unique car, and one that tells such an interesting story of, the competition, where it's always been, okay, another manufacturer comes out with something. Okay, how is Corvette going to answer that? Really the fourth generation Corvette was the answer to the popularity of the Ferrari 308s and the 911s and everything coming on the scene in the early 80s. And then this, it's to the max. It's on steroids. It's a great car.
Wow.
So.
How often do manufacturers, the manufacturers send like prototypes like that, like, one-off deals or like rare deals? I know like Jordan talks a lot about the Widowmaker. I learned about that through him. Actually, we saw one at a car meet one time. I was like, golly, it's like a gem.
It's amazing. We're fortunate enough that we do get a lot of concept cars, prototypes, experiential Corvettes. Just because in many cases, what do you do with that car? It's not streetable, it's not drivable, and it tells such a great story. So we have over 120 Corvettes in our collection, and a good number of those are these very unique kind of one-off concepts. We have an experiential Corvette from the early 70s called the Ugly Duckling that's rear-engined. Really kind of, I think it's a beautiful car, but it kind of started to give you it. Almost looks like an Opel GT from the 60s, like that even size. It's very interesting Corvette, but again, was a test bed for rear engine, which, Zora Arkus Duntov, the godfather of the Corvette, he always wanted mid-engine. He always wanted rear engine. He knew he could get better performance, better weight balance. So here they're testing out some of that technology, along with just, I think, giving a little bit of a nod to what the third generation Corvette and that shark design was going to be. So we do have some amazing, amazing Corvette concepts and prototype cars.
I remember last time I went through the museum, I never knew about this, but there was a rotary designed Corvette, a rotary engine.
The rotary, I think that's the XP 987. And they go by VIN with experiential for everything. But again, back when there was a gas crunch. So how do you think about keeping Corvette but making it a little bit maybe potentially more efficient? Very, very beautiful proportions and beautiful colors on that car. Reminds me a little bit of I think there was a Pontiac Monza back at the time, like kind of those proportions.
Yeah.
So that's a neat one. So we have the rotary, we have the rear engine Ugly Duckling. And through the course of Corvette history, again, there's been so many different concepts. We had an exhibition that was really kind of marking the 10-year anniversary of the Sinkhole, and it was really all about everything the museum has done in the last 10 years, from that moment on. But to end the exhibition, we had some really blue sky flying Corvette concepts that had been created by GM Design as to what Corvette could look like 60 years from now. So again, that spirit of innovation is still going on now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. We talked about how the dynamics changed there. We talked about the the movie playing in the background. How often do displays and things like that change at the Corvette Museum? Maybe somebody that's been in the past and thinks, well, I've been through once, why would I go through again? Like, what all is changing other than the generation of the Corvette, of course?
Yeah, well, it's important for us, and in many cases, I try to look at the National Corvette Museum not only as an automotive museum, but a science and history museum, because I really do want to appeal to everybody. I mean, guys like you that I could tell you eat, sleep, and breathe cars.
Yeah.
Yes, we want those folks to come through. We want Mustang fans to come through, but I also want people that are fans of just design or architecture. So when you think about that, you need to keep everything fresh. So we are constantly rotating exhibitions. So I would say, every 6 months there's a new either large exhibition or a small space within the museum that will be kind of turned over to tell a new story. And then on top of that, we are moving cars in and out constantly. So, we have, when you go through the museum, about a third of the cars that are on display are owned by the museum. We have over 120 cars in our collection. A third of the cars are owned by private collectors that loan their Corvettes to us. We'll have a case where we had a beautiful art exhibit. It was called Luster. And there was this incredible painting of a 1962 Corvette. So we wanted to find that car, and we were fortunate enough to find a collector that had a black with silver coves with a red interior 62 that was just like in the photo. So we were able to actually get that car on loan for that one specific exhibition. So,
wow.
And then the final third of the cars, GM has an incredible collection, their heritage collection. Not really open to the public, but again, we're able to pull cars from that, or they'll send us cars to augment exhibitions. Right now, all the Transformers cars that we have in the Sky Dome are courtesy of GM. So it's really kind of split that way. And then we're really excited, for anybody that's going up and down 65, you're seeing that large construction site that's next to the museum.
Yeah.
That is going to be our new collections facility. So what we ran into is with over 120 Corvettes in the collection plus 50,000 artifacts, where do you keep all those? So they've been stored and scattered around the museum campus, but this will be a purpose-built 66,000 square foot collections facility that will also allow us to, keep the collection. It's a 30-year building. So at the rate that we accept new Corvettes into our collection, it allows us to not have to add on for 30 years. And then the same for those artifacts, and it will have a preservation space so we can continue some of our preservation efforts. So really excited for that. And then that will be finished in the fall, and then we'll have to move all the Corvettes in. We have to get it all set up, but by early spring of next year, that'll be open to the public and available for tours.
That's
cool.
Super exciting.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming. I know it's something that the museum team has been working on for a very long time, but it is coming to fruition, and it's going to be amazing. Because I'd mentioned you can see you can see all the generations.
Yeah.
But the number one car that we have in our collection is the fourth generation Corvettes. I believe we have over 30 fourth generation Corvettes. So now we're able to put them all at once. And for somebody that really wants to dive in on 1986 Malcolm Connor Corvettes, I think we have two of those. So it's a lot of fun to be able to see as we're kind of planning this and how it's going to all lay out. But it'll be a great opportunity for us to keep all the cars that aren't on the exhibition now open for folks to be able to see.
That's super exciting. I feel like personally, I hate to tell myself, I still have not been to the Corvette Museum, but I feel like I know I'm killing you. I just I feel like I've always wanted to go with either my wife or daughter, but I feel like I'm gonna nerd out so hard. I'm gonna be sitting there reading every billboard, every little word I can read on the paper, and they're gonna be like, "Come on, what are you doing?" I'm reading about this car. Like, this is like a 1 of 100 Corvette here. Like, I want to read everything, every little stitch that's different from the other Corvettes,
Well, again, a lot of fun for families, and I've experienced guests before who the family went through and then they sat and had lunch. Well, Dad actually went back because admission ticket for any of your guys listening, admission ticket is good for all day. So you can certainly tour the museum, have lunch, go and do something else, and come back and really spend the whole day with us.
That's awesome. How do the seasons work with the Corvette Museum? Do you see more guests during like the winter times whenever there's not much to do, and less during the summertime? How does that kind of work out?
Yeah, our summer is definitely our go get 'em season,
Okay.
and it is interesting. So Interstate 65 is definitely our big draw. Is definitely our big feeder, and so as you see kind of those cycles of when people are taking to the road, we do see our admissions spike significantly. So we're kind of in the thick of spring break right now. We've had some fantastically attended last couple weeks. And then it'll slow down a little bit as you get into the, Easter holiday. And then it just starts to rocket back up as people get into kind of summer road trip season. And that's all of our, I'll call it the guests that are kind of passing through and stop to see us. But then, you factor in Vet City and, the Corvette Fest after LS Fest after the import event. I feel like the entire summer in Bowling Green is just so car centric that also boosts all of our attendance as well. So collectively, we see anywhere from 160 to 180,000 guests per year.
Wow.
I was wondering how much the Bowling Green Cars and Coffee affected how many people came, because for a while there it was actually held at the museum parking lot.
Yeah, the interesting thing with that is people would go to Cars and Coffee, but they wouldn't actually go into the museum. We didn't see much lift for people, maybe to go in and use the bathroom. And again, people kind of, the beautiful thing is Corvette Boulevard is open to the public, right? So you can see all the Corvette deliveries there. Yeah. But it didn't drive as many people as you would think, because I think people would just kind of sit outside, admire their cars, have some coffee and move on. But now I loved it, and certainly it's awesome when, as a guest, you're pulling up on Saturday and here's a parking lot full of cool cars, right? Doesn't always have to be Corvettes. Again, we import people, BMW lovers. Come on in. You got to learn about Corvettes. So yeah. So I know with that move, that event is now, I think, moved over to the Butler facility, which again, super close proximity to the museum. Love the team over there. So I could see that continuing to fuel just kind of that buzz that you have on the weekends if you're rolling into the museum.
Yeah, that's my weekend plan. Well, as of now, this episode, of course, next week. But my plan is if the Cars and Coffee is packed, I still want to go to it. But I think that's what me and my daughter are going to do. We're gonna take a tour of the Corvette Museum this Saturday. I think that'd be a good father-daughter day for us.
I think there's somebody that might be able to help you out with that. So.
Okay. Yeah, you're hitting a lot of my questions, actually. I was specifically going to ask how LS Fest impacted, but you answered that. I want to thank Blackout Coffee for sponsoring this episode of the Cars and Health Bars podcast. As you know, I work a blue-collar job just like most of you all do, and I need me a cup of joe to get me started first thing in the morning. I always like to hit some of this dark roast, brother. It puts hair on your chest, gets you good and woke up. And hey, if you got a wife like mine that loves some coffee, they've also got flavored coffee options such as jelly donut, salted mocha, cinnamon French toast. Look at the ratings on that, brother. Almost 1,500 5-star reviews. I've been drinking some of that good dark roast to get me started. And hey, they've even got instant coffee. We've all been there running late for work. Grab you one of these and dump it in your water bottle. You got coffee on the go. I want to again thank Blackout Coffee for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Go on over, support our sponsors, support our troops, good old America. Get you a cup of Blackout Coffee, brother. Our first sponsor today, of course, you know them, you love them, Chemical Guys. They have the best car care products in the game. Of course, my favorite products here, you got the starter kits. I highly recommend the starter kits to any of our listeners because it is the greatest way to get a bulk amount of products. It's just the best bang for your buck. Even the mini arsenal, it comes with everything you need. It's got the honeydew soap, it's got the spray wax, it's got the bucket, the foam cannon, it's got everything you need. Cars 10 site wide for 10% off your order. I want to thank Speedway Motors for sponsoring the podcast. One of my favorite parts, wiring harness. They have a DIY wiring harness. So if you are not that good at wiring, they have a full kit that is a universal. You just pick what circuit you want. It is as simple as you get it. They have a lot of parts for your older cars. It's hard to beat these deals. Some of the best prices, that's always what I've known them for, is the really good prices, the really good quality. So yeah, guys, hop on over there. See if they've got something for your build and use our affiliate link so they know that we sent you. And with that being said, guys, let's get right back into the topic. I guess we can get into the sinkhole stuff, and then I want to shotgun some fast questions at you at the end.
Sure.
But so how were you working at the Corvette Museum during the sinkhole?
So I only been with the museum since 2023. So I was not there when the sinkhole happened. And a couple things about the Sinkhole that I think as an outsider, and I love Corvettes. I grew up around Corvettes. My father's on his 9th Corvette. He's the whole reason that I work at the museum. We actually came to the museum the year that it opened and toured the plant. And I mean, there's pictures of me in the museum with him it's just, I love the car, and I love what it means to, I think, our society, what it means to the kind of car community. So when the Sinkhole happened, I was an outsider and, kind of looking in and watching. And I mean, of course, huge tragedy, right? I mean,
Yeah.
These 8 Corvettes, go in. But I think the Sinkhole doesn't define the museum. It's part of its history, and it's a moment in time. But what we try to do is really recognize what happened, but really have looked forward since, because, well, it certainly could have been a lot worse, right? I mean, there was nobody injured in all this. And, certainly happened at a moment when the notion of viral was just beginning. So you think of that headline, $8 million in Corvettes goes into a hole, nobody's injured. That is PR, kind of public relations gold. So I give everybody credit that made it work so well for the museum, because attendance skyrocketed after this happened. People, again, it's unfortunate, people wanted to come and see the Sinkhole. So, so it's been important to maintain the excitement with the museum, but not be a geology or sinkhole museum. So, a couple things that we've done recently. We had an entire sinkhole exhibition, very focused on the topography in the area. We've removed all that. That is actually our new Hall of Fame. We're giving the Corvette Hall of Fame the space and the storytelling that it needs, and it's literally a hall, and you stand in there. It's the most incredible part of the museum, I think, because you're looking down this new hall we have over 80 people that have been inducted in the Hall of Fame. So kind of they're all memorialized on the wall, and then at the end is the one and only Corvette that Zora Arkus Duntov ever owned. It was the 74 Stingray that GM gave to him when he retired, and he drove it, has over 100,000 miles on it. But, to have, and of course he's in our Corvette Hall of Fame. So to have the one and only Corvette that he ever owned at the end of this, it just is such an incredible moment. And a car that our team actually did the restoration on. So, it's those type of powerful stories that I think that's what we want to do to carry Corvette history forward, not focus on the one moment in time that, again, did bring a lot of attention to the museum. Now, with all that being said, for anybody that's listening that is like, I'm pro Sinkhole, just know that we actually just opened a new exhibition about 6 months ago, where one of the Sinkhole Corvettes that wasn't repaired, the Mallet, is actually, the PPG pace car is on display, and that one is completely destroyed into pieces. One of the rocks that actually collapsed and went in, landed on the Mallet Corvette is out front. That's a little Easter egg at the museum. It's out front of the Stingray grill. And then there's a 62 Tuxedo Black Corvette that also was part of the incident. That was restored by our team. That's on display, as well as the Blue Devil, which is the ZR1 that started when that was the one at the top of the pile. They pull it out, it starts. So, so we're making sure to kind of represent all that history, but not be so focused on that one moment in time and not letting it really define us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I went pretty soon after that happened. I guess, I don't know. I mean, not soon after, but that would have been 2017 or 16. So it wasn't too long. And I got to see the Sinkhole exhibit. It was really cool. Got to see the Blue Devil and the crushed PPG car.
Yep.
I remember all of that.
We have some of those, still on exhibition. And, of course, just the way that this all unfolded, and, at first they didn't even realize that they thought there was a fire. And the first person to get the first phone call still works at the museum, Betty Hardison. She's our chief archivist. She lived very close to the museum, and she came, and again, it was very dusty and smoky, and people thought there was a fire. And then they called, once the fire department shows up, and they realize there's this hole in the ground, and people are listening to some of the police and EMS and fire radio. Then the story kind of picks up, and it really took off from there. But Jordan, cool to see that. I mean, it definitely, again, absolutely put the museum on the map for a lot of people.
How many cars that fell in the hole were they all owned by the Corvette Museum, or were there donor cars that also seen damage?
The majority of them were donor
Oof.
cars that were on loan to us. Yeah. So
That was the first
it
thing I thought of. I'm like, man, what? How do you even make that phone call? You know?
well, and two, even when you think about it, even if some of the cars were on loan to the museum, but even if Josh Jordan, if you donate a Corvette to us, and like you're still emotionally connected to that. I actually was emailing with somebody that donated. We have a 2003 Callaway Z06 that's on display in
Nice.
the amazing car. But the gentleman that donated to the museum, he's aware of some media that we're doing around it, so he reached out. So like, well, somebody gives a car to the museum, they're still connected to it. I mean, part of the reason you want to give it to us is to put it on display. So, what's more heartbreaking, for it to be a museum the car that's owned by the museum, or a car that's owned by somebody that's on loan? But all those museum cars had donors that had to get the phone call as well to say, well, you gave us this car and it actually, was destroyed in this catastrophe. So, but I think everybody understands this was nobody's fault. Nobody knew was a sinkhole there. I'll also say that's now the safest place in the state of Kentucky, right? They basically filled the sinkhole with concrete and micro piles. So we're good now. So
I mean, that had to brought so much interest to the museum too. I'm glad that you guys, are taking the avenue of like not making it define the museum, because it's yeah, if you really think of it, it did happen. It did happen a pretty good while ago. It's nice to kind of move past that.
Yeah, I mean, it was over 10 years ago, but also it was I mean, this wasn't a victory at Le Mans for Corvette. This was just a natural disaster that, again, really, I would say luck came together that no one was injured, no one was in the room when it happened. So, still an incredible piece of history. And there's a glass in the floor. You can look in 40 feet down, see exactly where the sinkhole happened. Wow. And there's an outline you can see there was some tape down. We removed that, but you can see the outline of kind of where the cave-in was. So it's still all there, but we've had 10 years of success, deliveries, hundreds of thousands of guests, all these other things that we've had where, that allows us to really kind of look forward and continue to look forward.
Absolutely. I'm glad you were able to cover that. It's I feel like that's that's a big question. People that don't live local and maybe aren't super big into Corvettes, that's like the big thing that they relate Corvette Museum to is the sinkhole, not the Corvettes, but the sinkhole. So
I will say I've been now with the museum going on about 3 years, and just from seeing, just in general, kind of the social conversation comments that we get in any of our social channels, whether they be public comments, direct messages. When I started, let's say sinkhole questions were about here. They've moved down to about here. Good. So I think as the years go on, and as we don't focus on this, again, we're not saying it didn't happen, but it's not. Again, I want people to come and see over 70 years of Corvette history. Like that's the fun part, and that's where the real kind of mission and lessons are. So. Again, something that definitely happened, but we've got a lot of other things going on.
Absolutely. I like seeing the history of all the race cars. I know there's a section where it had a bunch of the older, like first generation, second, third. I think it even went to fifth C5 and C6 Rs as well. All the race cars. That was probably my favorite part.
Oh, thanks, Jordan. I mean, Corvette racing. I mean, especially the 2001 and on, that yellow signature car, I mean, absolutely incredible. So that is our Pierce Marshall Performance Gallery. So that is set up with a variety of different Corvettes throughout the generations that all were, involved in racing. And we have endurance cars, SCCA race cars. Of course, the Corvette racing, we just brought in two really cool race cars. One is a C5R that was actually driven by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dale Earnhardt Sr. That's in that's in the space. It's the number 3, and was part of that championship team that year, but was not the championship car. But that's an incredible one. And of course, the power of Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. just in terms of getting people's attention. And there's some incredible letters that we have along with it because Andy Pilgrim also was a driver at that time, and he was corresponding with Dale Sr. on how to get the car, how to get more speed. I mean, talking like race car drivers, and it's just so neat. So we've done some stuff with Andy to kind of memorialize that and have those letters there. And then also recently brought in this is a C8R, so the race car version of the current generation one. And it was they were racing this car just in October. So I mean, it has the dirt on it still from the race.
That's incredible.
The eighth generation as a race, I mean, it just looks like a fighter jet to me, right? The Corvette race cars have always sounded so meaty and throaty and awesome, but that new one, I mean, it's just they're wicked. They're wicked.
I feel like it was hard. I don't know how the standing is now, but the jump from how the C7 looked to the C8, I feel like was a tough pill to swallow, especially for, like your more diehard, American muscle old heads that really love the sporty look of a, C6, C7. It's like, what are we, European in C8? But you can't deny the performance of the C8.
You can't deny the performance of it. The bang for your buck. I mean, even I just think it's crazy. I mean, ZR1 and ZR1X. I mean, it's $200,000 plus, right? But think you could walk into a Chevrolet dealership, you could finance that car. It comes with a warranty. You get it fixed anywhere. And they're incredibly durable. We have a 8th generation. It's 2020 that is we call our Mobile One. It's sponsored by Mobile One, and we use that for educate. We have an education fleet of 6 Corvettes, but that's our only 8th generation car, and it has I want to say over 85,000 miles on it. And outside of a little wear on the bolster that any car gets these days at 5 right on the side bolster, it is as tight as you could, and it's a convertible. It is. You'd think it just rolled off the assembly line. So. The quality, the value that's going into this, the new car is just so amazing. I mean, every Corvette has been amazing, and I would agree that people, front engine, certain looks of it, but it still, to me, is unmistakable as a Corvette.
I think that's what Zora always wanted, so to see it finally happen, I thought was awesome.
That was the way to extract the most performance, was make it mid-engine. And this the new car it's really it's outstanding.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's next. I have no idea what it could look like.
GM stays tight-lipped with the museum in terms of future product, because I think we have so many people that are so close to the museum. They like to keep it secret. But when you hear talk of growth and displacement, engine size, performance. I mean, at a certain point, are we going to get to it's a half second 0 to 60 time with these cars?
Yeah.
It's getting unreal, but they really want to be the standard of the world, and I think that car is there. The new generation Corvette is
for there. A budget too. It's a budget supercar. That's what it is.
Absolutely, and now you're starting to see some higher mileage ones. I know they still have really great resale, but I've always been a big fan of. You get the car, maybe a little more miles, let somebody else break it in a little bit, and just drive it till the wheels fall off, a couple 100,000 miles. And you're starting to see some of those now for 8th generation Corvettes, which again could be bargains. And I love too with over 70 years of Corvette, there's so many entry points for people.
Yeah.
When people, I can't afford a Corvette. Well, have you thought about a 5th generation? I mean,
that's the best, in my opinion.
It's an incredible car, modern car, all the safety features and everything. So a lot of ways that you can go.
We just had Brian Tooley from Brian Tooley Racing on our show this past episode, and he was he was all about he's got a C5, and he was like, man, it's one of my favorite Corvettes that I own is my C5. And now, of course, C8 has won him over fully because he goes to he was telling us how he goes to NCM, and he is just on the bumpers of supercars, like just trying to get around them. Great. Love to hear that. I'll hit you with some shotgun questions here. We're kind of getting towards the end here. Don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it, just however much you think.
Sure.
If someone only had 2 hours at the museum, what should they not miss?
What should they not miss? I mean, 2 hours is a great amount of time to get through the entire museum, to be honest with you. So always want to start at admissions and and go through. And I would also say with 2 hours time, make sure you get a guided tour. We have incredible tour guides that know the car so well. So get the guided tour. You won't miss out on anything. And you can even have lunch within that 2 hours.
Wow. That's cool. And I like that the ticket is an all-day ticket too. That's a big thing. I didn't know that. That is awesome. So you literally could spend all day in there if you wanted to.
I encourage people too, if you can give us the day, because if you split it up, and again, if the Bowling Green Assembly Plant, if we're fortunate enough to give tours, that fills some time, you even learn more about Corvettes. And then if you want to get really crazy, go across the street to the Motorsports Park, right? I mean, they'll do Z06 hot laps all day long. So you really can fill the day. It's awesome.
Absolutely. We kind of talked about this earlier. If you want to revisit it, what is the rarest Corvette you've personally seen? It doesn't have to be one that has been, that is currently in the Corvette Museum's possession.
So rarest Corvette, most incredible story is a 1954. It's called the Duntov Mule. It was on loan to the museum from Ken Lingenfelter in the Lingenfelter collection. But this Corvette had a V8 engine that was built by Smokey Yunick, which was the famed NASCAR engine builder down in Daytona or Ormond Beach there, right?
Yeah.
So Zora hooked up with Smokey. They built a V8, they drop it in this 54, and this was the first chance to really show this is what a Corvette with a V8 engine can be like. It had this incredible aero pod that kind of, went behind your head and a very short windshield.
Whoa.
They raced it on the beaches of Daytona, and and like so many historical stories, I've been told that Zora would actually drive that car home when he lived in Detroit and worked at GM. Like he would physically drive that car home.
Wow.
And that was again, he could take any Corvette he wants, but the Duntov Mule, absolutely incredible car.
Wow. That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
That is.
It's amazing. Yeah.
This is kind of funny because me and Jordan are opposite ends of the spectrum. Can't deny that automatics have came a long way as far as performance goes. I'm asking you, Ryan, what is your personal opinion? Would you rather have a third pedal Vet or an automatic?
I'll take a 6-speed up and down, left and right.
Yes, sir.
All day long. So you get a little more smile on your face when you're driving a manual, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
banging gears is the way to go.
Oh yeah.
We talk about the Blue Devil a lot. I feel like it is like the iconic Corvette whenever people talk about the ZR1 in particular. What is your dream spec Vet? We talked about the C4 a little bit.
Yeah, it's a dream spec, and I've seen it in the museum before, is a 1991 ZR1. They did a very rare turquoise color that year that is so Miami 90, it just is awesome. And then to pair that with the later of that fourth generation, when there were a couple little bit of upgrades, and I think the car just looked a little bit more muscular. So it'd be this 91 ZR1 in turquoise, just out of this world. So
I feel like the C4 is so slept on.
It's and why? I mean, it's an awesome looking car. Right?
The Sledgehammer is the coolest C4 ever made.
It's Sledgehammer, out of this world. And just the lines of that car are just so beautiful to me and just capture that moment so well. Have you guys ever seen the ad that they did in '84? And it's a video, and you've never seen anything like it before.
I don't think so. I have.
So when we're done, I encourage you, everybody, Google it, check it out on YouTube. It is so period 80s and so awesome, and just again captures that moment in time. And I think it's a little bit more innocent at a time for America and our country and our world, and just that fourth generation car just means a lot to me, and I think to a lot of people. And you're right, people beat it up, but I mean, with the aftermarket, you can make that a fire-breathing monster and still a good driving car. A little not as easy to get into, but and I think just amazing lines, beautiful car.
Yeah, it's arguably the most affordable Corvette to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. You're seeing some of those, under $10,000 for a great example, and so many different. you go early, fourth generation, right, where it's a little bit more angular, that funky dash. Oh, I know it's a headache when all the LED and lights.
It's kind of cool though.
It's it's like a video game. It's so cool. Yeah, it's so 80s. Or then jump ahead to the '96 Grand Sport, amazing car. As well. So that fourth generation, that's a car that I know you look and people are starting to watch a little bit, but I think that's just going to go up and up in value. So
I agree.
Get them now.
Yeah. 100%. That's like our whole vibe is like the 80s. Like we rebranded to the 80s a few years ago. We love like the retro purples and blues and like it's just such a, I don't know, it's in for us. I don't know if it's in for everybody else, but it is in for us.
Well, look at the Radwood trend, right? Of cool retro 80s car shows and everything 80s is cool. So you guys are onto it.
Yeah, so my favorite piece of advertising I see all the time is whenever I'm coming into Bowling Green on I-65 is that pop culture billboard that you guys have. I love that, man.
Josh, I'm going to break your heart because we just changed out that creative.
Oh, no.
But I think you're going to be impressed. So pop me an email. Let me know what you think when you see the new creative.
Okay.
And we had the pop culture stuff up for I think 2 years. And we now are really wanting to kind of focus on celebrating America's 250th. So it takes that theme, but take a look and let me know what you think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember, man, even like maybe it was last year, a couple years ago, like I swear that was the biggest shutdown for Corvette anniversary. I don't know what was going on with you guys back then, but I swear there was like miles of Corvettes headed into Bowling Green a few years ago.
Yeah, so it's probably our anniversary. So every 5 years we do a big anniversary event, and we have caravans from all over the country all descending on Bowling Green. So probably 24, then back in 2019, every
probably
5
24,
years.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a huge one for us. So because that was really hitting, we're 71 years of Corvette. We got our 30th anniversary, great event.
Yeah, I love the culture around Corvettes. You think they're like old heads, but man, it's everybody. It's like people come from out underneath boulders to go celebrate Corvettes and something like that. It's just like the community around Corvettes is so like deep rooted. I feel like, especially we're here in Bowling Green, of course, but
it's huge everywhere around the world. We have members, we have guests from all over the world. But I think in Bowling Green, it's almost its own language. Like you can legit talk Corvettes, right? I mean, if you say, well, this, C4 with the L9, it's like its own language. And it really is, translated and understood the best in Vet City, which again, just makes it. So first time I came to Bowling Green and I saw that there were Corvettes on the fire truck, I think the City of Bowling Green Fire Department has a Corvette on the logo or on the truck. I'm like, for a Corvette guy, this is it. This is where it's at.
Yeah. Like you said, the whole town just like celebrates it. Like I remember whenever Texas Roadhouse first came to Bowling Green, maybe 5-6 years ago, and we were sitting in the lobby waiting for a table, and like there's all this Corvette memorabilia. There's like I don't know if it's a bumper or a hood hanging up in the lobby, like signed by people at the Vet Museum and Vet Plant. I'm like, man, the fact that so much of the town celebrates, like it's just like this really is Vet City, man. It's not just the museum; it's bigger than that.
Yeah, big time. And again, we're fortunate enough to be here and be able to celebrate it with everybody, and again have guys like yourself that can rally around it. So yeah, it's a perfect combination of everything. Very Absolutely. Cool.
I have one last shotgun question for you, and for somebody visiting the Corvette Museum like myself who hasn't been there yet, I'm a big foodie, and you mentioned the Stingray Grill. As somebody that works there, surely you know what the best thing to get at the Stingray Grill is.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is the blackberry grilled cheese sandwich. So
a grilled cheese,
it's
okay.
It's a grilled cheese, but chef puts blackberry in it and some onions, and it is fantastic. Highly recommend that. And then upgrade, get the sweet potato fries. So can't go wrong. Right. So Stingray Burger is great. For anybody listening, for you guys, if you just go to CorvetteMuseum.org and click on visit and go to Stingray Grill, you can see the menu. We do monthly specials. Chef is fantastic. And we're actually just going to start expanding our hours from 10 to 5. Right now it's 10 to 3. So
cool.
Trying to match a little bit closer to the when the museum's open. But yeah, It's an awesome place, some outdoor seating, so you can get out, get yourself a burger, grilled cheese sandwich, sit there and watch. It's right next to our PDI, so you can see them bringing in and out the new Corvettes. So
that's too cool. Well, Ryan, I want you to shout out everything you can. Tell us pricing, tell us hours, tell our fans where they can see the Corvette Museum at this summer and or spring and summer.
You got it. Well, National Corvette Museum, 350 Corvette Drive here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Open every day, 9 to 5. And the cost is $25 to get in. And then we do offer discounts for military, seniors, as well as youth and children. So you can get all details. You can learn about all our exhibitions and all the offerings that I've talked about just by pointing your mouse to CorvetteMuseum.org. And then I encourage everybody, follow us on our social channels. We just got kind of certified, authorized. We got the actual blue badge on Instagram and Facebook with Meta.
Oh, cool.
So we're really swinging for the fences there. But it's a great way to get a sense of, if you go to our social channels, you can see all the Corvettes and many of the Corvettes that we have on display to kind of get a little tease of what you're going to see when you come to the museum. So come check us out.
Too cool. Yeah, guys, I encourage you to go check out the National Corvette Museum. Do it for us. This is our, Vet City. Like this is our city. Come on down and visit us. Ryan, I thank you so much for your time tonight. And yeah, guys, with that being said, we will throw it to an outro and we will see you in the next one. Brother, what are you still doing here? Check out some of these social medias below me. If you're not following, go change that today.